welcome to another episode of Shooting
the Shit with Rachael
and Neal Young. We're talking all things real estate photography business growth, mindset, and getting it done. Here come your favorite true entrepreneurs, Rachael and Neal Young, shooting the shit.
I have a ferret on the Like if we're kind of in a slump, like what kind of things do you do?
Talking about a boob light.
Straddling a power line.
Nice photo.
Ooh, I need that.
I'm like red right now because I'm embarrassed. I go like this. I love it.
Come in.
Sure, use your podcast voice.
Over here, I'm pitting out.
Drone's like flipping to the ground.
That's a great callback.
Chit-chatting.
Is that what you call that? Hey.
Rach, who do you love?
HDPhotoHub.
Today's episode is brought to you by HDPhotoHub.
The platform real estate photographers trust.
And so do we, because Rach and I both use it on a daily basis. Check it out.
Check it out.
Check it out.
Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out.
Chickadee, check it before you wreck it. We're back with the last installment of our summer series of Rachel's Power Team. And today we have an awesome guest. We've got Shae Robinson, who is the publisher of Real Producers Magazine. And this is a magazine, to my best knowledge, I'm going to learn a lot about this today too, that really highlights real estate agents and up and comers and stuff like that. But how it's been really helpful for Rachael is it's actually helped her grow her photography and real estate photography business as well. We'll let Rach and Shae dive into that a little bit, but I just want to start out real quick by letting Shae say hello to everybody.
How's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. So great to have you on. Thanks so much, Shae.
Yeah.
So Shae, tell us, the biggest question everybody's going to have is, okay, what is Real Producers Magazine all about exactly? And then we can kind of dive into how Rach got involved and how it's helping her out.
So Real Producers is a local magazine for the one that I run, Seattle Real Producers, but nationally we're in 130 markets in print, all different territories. But kind of our model is meant to connect and build relationships with the best agents in any given market. So Seattle Real Producers goes to the top 500 agents in King and Snohomish County. And the way you receive the magazine is through your production. So I think the way we differentiate from a lot of other mediums or platforms is that everything through the agent's eyes is earned rather than a pay to play. And all the content is actually about the readership, which is also how I think we're different. It's not client facing for the agents. It's actually peer to peer. So we want to highlight the best agents in any given market, and whether that's talking about how they found success, how they navigated a down market, how they're dealing with the shifting market now, and kind of share those stories. There's definitely a humanizing element to them where it's not the fluffy, like, look at me, I'm a successful real estate agent. It's a lot more of who you are as a person, how you got your start, how you found your way. And then on the business side, and this is where, Rachael comes in, is we partner with quality businesses that want to build relationships with this group and know that if there's a group of agents that they want to stay in front of, it's the one that are doing the bulk of the business year in and year out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. That makes sense. Now, so this magazine is it nationwide? Is it all over? I know you do the Washington area, right? But is there a whole bunch of these?
Yeah, so my magazine is King and Snohomish County, just for Seattle. But if you were to look at the map of nationally, I think right now we're right around 130 in print. Some markets are smaller, so they only go to like the top 300 agents. And for, Seattle or LA or, Baltimore, bigger cities, it'll go to the top 500 agents. And the cool thing I think that is important here is we're about to hit our 9-year mark. And so to kind of start something organically, the very first one was in Indianapolis, and then not knowing what we really had in our company, and then, end up kind of thriving and growing to 130 markets. And that number still rises kind of, every couple months as new territories open up.
Yeah. So Shae, how did you get your start with Real Producers? Like how long have you, it's a franchise, correct? That you buy
Yes.
into.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, tell us your history of what you did before this and how you got into this.
That's I'll try and do the quick version because that's a pretty loaded question, but
I want to hear
our
about every day of your life up till
all
now.
right.
Go.
So I'll walk you through, when I graduated high school. No, I'm just kidding. So our company, as Rachel mentioned, we are franchises, and we have an umbrella publishing company that it used to be N2 Publishing and now is the N2 company, N2 Co. And our company got its start with neighborhood publications, and we're about to hit our 20-year anniversary for N2, and it really was the model is the same, other than the readership in the neighborhood magazines are the residents, and it just shows up, and all the content is about the residents. And about 9 years ago, somebody who had been running the neighborhood publications saw this need and this niche for, hey, there's this kind of top 1% of agents that are doing 70-80% of the volume in any given market. How can we collaborate with them? How can we help them build relationships? Not kind of those onesie twosie agents, right, that are just kind of dabbling. The ones that are really knocking it out of the park and they're heavy hitters, year in and year out. And so my wife has been running different neighborhood magazines for the last 11 years and had never done sales before, obviously had never done any kind of publishing or magazines. And so from day one, she was trying to pull me in to the company. And I think for me, I think for anyone, you want to do something you're excited about. And it wasn't that I wasn't excited about it, but I was really in a spot in life, and being fully transparent, I was coaching the lucrative profession of coaching basketball and doing like one-on-one personal training. And when she got approached about, ramping up a magazine, all I saw was, hey, we can make our own schedule and I can still coach. There's no 9 to 5 we have to work around when it comes to kids and that kind of stuff. So for the 5 years while she was running the magazine, I was a stay-at-home dad. I was coaching basketball from, fifth graders all the way up to high school varsity basketball. And I would do, one-on-one, either personal training at the gym or one-on-one basketball training with various ages. And then she was in leadership within the company, and somebody who had started Seattle Real Producers kind of came to her and said, hey, I'm looking for help on content. And she saw that as a way to kind of just let me dip my toe in, and hey, you should try this to see if you like it. My mom is an agent. I actually got my license in 2007. Not the best year to get your real estate license if you didn't really have the support staff around you. I didn't know what I was doing. We did 3 deals together. I was like, this is going to be great. And then we all know what happened to the market at that point. And I got into lending, specifically subprime lending. I've always wanted to, help people and connect people, and how can I put them in a better situation? And I thought, hey, I could get into subprime lending and really help people out. And I found out that to make good money, you can't put them in the best scenario possible. I got out of sales. I was kind of scarred. I'm never going to pick up that phone again and want to call somebody if I didn't really believe in it. Got involved on the content side with Real Producers. And after a couple months, realized that the way that publisher was running the magazine was just he was not following our model. And it wasn't a knock on him. He ran a coaching business that targeted mortgage brokers and real estate agents. And he was trying to use Seattle Real Producers to leverage that. And so when my wife saw that, she said, I don't think he's going to last. You should go to training. And I'll never forget, like, going to training. We would get she would get the Cancun trip every year. I would get to hang out with all the heavy hitters in the company and became friends with them. And when I showed up in training, you know, with my little badge on, they did that kind of half, hey, hey, why are you here? You know, and I was like, I'm going to training. They're like, great, what's your territory? Well, I couldn't say that I was waiting for the guy running Seattle to fall off and go do something else. But we knew that's what my plan was, and she was right. You know, about 6 months later, he ended up moving out of the area, and the company came to us and they're like, hey, looks like you're ready to take this over. And so took over the publication. I've been running it. July of 19 was the first issue I was ever kind of involved in. So little over 4 years I've been running it. I think everything in this market, as you guys know, is cyclical, and making sure that we were doing things the right way. I'll never forget some of my early on agent meetings where, you know, when you're green and doing something new and walking to an agent meeting, I'm recording the meeting, and we love to get feedback from the agents on, you know, what you like about the magazine, and getting cut off mid-sentence and having agents reach over and being like, this is a crap publication. You're not featuring the right people. And I edited crap. It was a different word they used.
Oh, jeez.
And, you know, pulling the phone back and being like, I'm gonna stop recording this interview, kind of thing. And I really took my mindset was, I got to get agents engaged before I can go to businesses, and just I felt again like I would be faking, like, hey, agents are reading this, they're going to come to events, they're going to be engaged, because I just knew that wasn't the truth based on the feedback I was getting. So those first 6 to 8 to 10 months were no joke. You know, really changing agents' minds that we were going to put out a quality product. And right around the time I felt like I was getting traction and momentum, COVID hit. And I, like a lot of people, thought, this isn't going to last. This isn't going to work. You know, our big thing is face-to-face interaction and running events, and, you know, doing introductions where I could do them at an event and get people in front of each other. And that wasn't possible. And I honestly think anyone's ability to pivot in whatever business that might be is going to kind of dictate, like, are you going to be successful and survive, or are you going to have to, you know, tuck away and hide and figure out something else to do? And I honestly think one of the biggest success points I had was leaning into pivoting, hopping on Zoom, and figuring out that a lot of these businesses couldn't do all the normal things they were doing to get in front of agents, get face to face, you know, come to the Monday morning meeting and buy coffee and donuts and, you know, give their elevator pitch. They weren't able to do that. And I knew that because agents did have some downtime and they were kind of, you know, stuck at home if they weren't doing virtual walkthroughs or whatever that might be, that Seattle Real Producers was a way they could consistently stay in front of these agents. And, you know, those first 6 to 8 months of COVID were probably some of my best months, just because I really had, you know, people engaged, and we all learned that Zoom can be very efficient, and in this area cut down a lot of drive time. And that's kind of, you know, how we're where we are today, and still connecting agents and businesses and highlighting the best in the business.
Wow. I didn't even know all this, Shae. I don't think I've ever asked your origin story. When I met you, Shae, it was the end of 2019. And I was at a point in my business where I was making better money. I had extra every month. And I thought, you know what? I need to invest in some kind of marketing. So I was out kind of looking at different ideas of how I could market the business. And, you know, I thought maybe Google ads, or I could invest in some like video marketing, which I was already doing, you know, Instagram and all that, and a newsletter. I even thought about shopping cart ads, which I'm really glad I didn't go that route.
Oh, like on the actual shopping carts? Like, yeah, okay.
Because I'm like, I see them all the time. But that would be mostly like, I don't know, it's usually women and moms, right? That go to grocery stores. So anyways, didn't do that. But no, one of my brokers, he reached out and said, hey, I'm going to be featured in a magazine, and they said they have a photographer, but I told them I have my own. So I just want to use you for photos. Can you do lifestyle photos of me? And I was like, yes, I would love to. I was like thrilled. Like, my work's going to be in a magazine. This is awesome. I've really made it. Yay. So I did the shoot for him. We submitted the photos to Shae, and he wrote back and said, these photos are great. Thank you. And I just put it out there. I said, yeah, if you ever need me to take photos, I would love to get involved somehow. Just took that leap of faith. Like, you don't know unless you ask, right? So I just said that, and he came back and he said, actually, we are looking for a photographer. Can you meet for coffee tomorrow? And I was like, whoa, tomorrow? Yes, let's do it. I remember I was so nervous for that meeting, Shae. I was like, this is like my first, this is a big deal. I was so excited. So yeah, we talked through all the details of what it would look like for me to be a sponsor in the magazine. So, I wanted a full page spread in the magazine. And then Shae has me do one shoot a month for him of either the cover photos of the top producing agent or the up and comer. It was a great opportunity for me to get in front of people, and then every month to have my ad going out to the top producing brokers in King and Snohomish County. So, and it took a while before I really saw any traction from it. Probably about a year and a half, 2 years before I started getting multiple clients from it. And I don't know why that is, or what really contributed to that. But I saw you grow, Shae, as a company too. Like, when you first started out, it was really just the magazine. And then it's expanded more to these events that you're doing, and more of the marketing on social media, and the podcast that you have, and these mastermind groups that you're doing. So I feel like you're doing a lot more for your sponsors to be seen and to get more exposure than just the magazine itself. Which the magazine's great. And you can change your ad as often as you want. You can change it every month if you want. I'm really lazy and do it every 6 months. It's like, when I design an ad for this magazine, it takes me hours because I'm like, wait, does this need to be a little bit to the left? Like, it's ridiculous. So anyways, but yeah, so that's kind of how I got connected with Shae, and got connected with the magazine. But just since I've been doing this podcast, quite a few of our listeners have reached out and asked me about my experience with Real Producers, and they're just curious because either Real Producers has reached out to them, or they've seen it and thought about maybe advertising with them. So I think there is definitely a lot of people out there who would be interested in advertising in their markets. So if you are interested, reach out to Shae, because he can connect you and give you a ton of information too on your market and like what it would look like to maybe advertise with the magazine.
Shae, what do you do for some of this event stuff to get people kind of excited about the networking piece of it all?
Yeah, so I think Rachael brings up a great point that, anytime you're doing something new, our company kind of lays out the model. And because we, at that point had only been around, I think 3 or 4 years, and they're kind of learning as you go. It was not like something that had been around 20 years, like follow this model and you're going to do great. You're going to thrive. It's like everyone was really learning on the go. And I have to circle back on what Rachael said about our first meeting, because I was just as nervous. And I love the photos she had done, and I was like, I want to figure out a way to make this work. And to hit on what Rachael talked about, really good relationships don't happen just after one shoot or just one interaction. You really have to nurture those relationships, get in front of them, get in front of people multiple times, because if you're interacting with heavy hitting agents, they already have people that they're using, right? And so as a new publisher, I'm like, you're going to do a photo shoot and you're going to be their go-to. And it's like, it doesn't always work like that. There are some photo shoots I go on, and, Rachael starts talking about, she also does real estate photography. And then the best part for me is when they get really curious, and then I find out that she does do a shoot for them, because that, in my eyes, is, I feel like I was a part of that, and I just got Rachel's foot in the door, and then she did her thing. So that part is really fun. But Neal, to answer your question, as we've grown as just a kind of a platform, we realized that, the magazine's great from a branding and kind of seed planting and brand recognition, but getting face to face getting some back-end introductions, doing different types of events are really how the agents are going to be excited, because they're getting value from what you're doing outside of the magazine. And then obviously the partners are going to benefit because they do have more opportunities to get face-to-face. So the different types of events we'll typically do are, the large networking events, which are great. If I can center a nonprofit around that event, it's like you're going to bring people together that are affluent. They're also philanthropic and they want to give back. My first post-COVID event was only like 50 to 52 agents, and it wasn't in a big space, but we centered it around a nonprofit that's fighting human trafficking. And we actually raised $24,000 at that event for that nonprofit. And I still point back to that as being one of my greatest successes from an event standpoint. It wasn't huge. We didn't have 100 agents in the space, but making that big of an impact that was like tangible and you knew where the money was going was huge. Just it's like being part of that, kind of, the origin point of raising that much money in a 2-hour event was pretty exciting. So the large events are typically based around networking. You mentioned the masterminds. We're doing one on Thursday. And I think that the way we differentiate with our masterminds is they are not, come listen to this person talk at you for 2 hours about how you should be running your business. They're extremely collaborative. We crowdsource the topics for the event. I collaborate with another agent that kind of helps me MC them and run them. But we don't go in with any predetermined, like, this is what we're talking about today. It is much more, what do you guys want to focus on? Obviously any market is a shifting market, whether it was, when we're talking in 21 and it's super high paced, and how can you stand out amongst, 20 offers? And now that it's shifted, it's how are you navigating a shifting market? And none of that is predetermined. You also are amazed by what some of these heavy hitters don't know. Like 3 masterminds ago, we kept saying VAs, and finally one agent raised their hand and was like, what's a VA? Seriously, so there's certain stuff that's really easy to kind of gloss over. But the masterminds for me are probably, the networking events are great because they're big and there's music and there's alcohol flowing and the energy is always great. Rachael has probably figured this out, that I don't mind talking at events, but I hate killing, like when there's that just energy and buzz. I'm like, I don't even want to, get on the mic and clink the glass, because all these conversations are flowing and we all helped bring all these people together. So the masterminds are great. We've done a few happy hours that are a little bit more intimate, where it's like, hey, let's have, 20 to 30 agents in the room, and then a handful of partners, where you can have maybe a longer conversation and get to know somebody a little better. So we try and mix it up. The mastermind next Thursday, and then we're going to do a larger event on October 25th. And anyone that's run an event knows that they are not for the faint of heart. I'll fully admit that, the anxiety before every event is like, are people going to show up? Are they going to have a good time? And then I already know, if I look at an RSVP list, I'm like, there's a certain group of agents that come to every single event, and they'll be like, man, you run the best events. Like, how do you do it? And I'm like, I have no idea. I just invite the right people, because if you think about it, so many real estate centric events are like, come one, come all. We just want a lot of people. And it's like, well, if you have 70% of the room are in their first couple of years in real estate, they're just there to soak up information, right? Versus what we're doing, where you're if you're an agent in the room, you're doing a good chunk of business year in and year out. And so you're collaborating with people that are like-minded. They have the same experience as you, and you can have conversations that are where you're kind of on the same level, versus getting introduced to an agent that's brand new and green, and they're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Can you mentor me? Can you help me? And those conversations only last so long. So we want to do whatever we can, but also mix it up, change the venue, change the structure, and just be as collaborative as we can when it comes to great agents in the room, and they're reserved for our partners is kind of how we operate.
Yeah, I've been to a few of your events and they're really fun. Like, I agree. It is like at that high level of conversation that's going around. It's just like you're saying, everyone's on that same plane, and it's fun to watch the different brokers interact.
Tell me, in just from a photographer's point of view, who are most of our audience is going to be, is kind of two-part question. Is this are these events at all a part of the final magazine issue that goes out monthly, or is there another space that I'm just thinking, like, are there photographers there photographing this event, and is it used in your magazine or is it used in social media? I'm just always thinking like of jobs, and you guys aren't in, not from my own standpoint, because you guys aren't even in my area, but if I was a photographer listening, I'd be like, do they photograph that? I do events as well. Do they need somebody? Or, how can we get a piece of that? Or maybe in general about the whole magazine, how does somebody reach out and talk to you about any opportunities?
Yeah. So my first question is, what area are you in?
Oh yeah, so I'm in New Hampshire,
Okay.
and one time I had somebody go, yeah, but what state? So it is a state. I'm about an hour outside of Boston, Massachusetts, basically.
Okay.
Southern New Hampshire. Yeah, you guys don't have real producers out this way, do you?
We have one in Boston.
Oh, okay, in Boston. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I know that might be a little bit of a drive for you, but happy to, connect you with the person just to get more information, because I think that doesn't hurt, right?
Oh
Uh,
yeah, totally. And it's actually one of my clients has wanted me to branch out to that area because they do a lot of shoots down there and they have to use somebody else, and they're not super ecstatic about, what they got going on down there. So yeah, you never know. But
yeah.
so what, and I would, yeah, definitely take you up on that. But for other people as well, is there a social media presence as well?
Yeah. So because we're all franchises, everybody kind of runs they run their publication how they want to. I will say the ones that are doing it the right way definitely have a social media presence. And we do definitely, the more kind of buzz you can create around those events, whether it's a recap video, whether it's just photography, we always will do an article recap in the magazine, give the photographer credit. And the idea there is not just, hey, come do this event shoot and we'll use your photos for the magazine. It's like, we're all fully aware that agents love running, client appreciation events, team events, brokerage events. And so, if they like your work, then they can reach out to you, or we can say, hey, like, if you're looking to get more of these shoots, we can spread the word that, that you are actively looking. Typically we'll have, a photographer that's at the event taking photos. That doesn't necessarily have to be like a partner. Typically it is, because they want to be consistent in front of that group. But like, I know that Rachael at events would much rather be interacting than have them be behind the camera. I'll never forget when she said, like, initially I feel like she's like, oh, I don't mind being behind the camera because I can just kind of stay behind the scenes and use my photography. But I think she saw the value. And Rachael, I don't mean to speak for you,
No,
you can chime in, but I do think there is a huge value in getting to work a room. And when they've seen your ad and they've seen the branding, or they've seen like, oh man, I saw the cover shoot you did. And then she can use that conversation as kind of a jumping off point. But yes, to answer your question, Neal, if anyone's running an event, they're going to have a photographer there. We also know that some people only do event photography and some people only do real estate photography. Rachael is very, unique in the sense that she has a team that she's created where she can do branding and lifestyle, but she also can do incredible real estate photography. And so having that blend for her, I think the upside is, hey, doing a photo shoot with an agent gives you a lot more time to build rapport and get that one-on-one time than just like doing an introduction at an event, or even doing an introduction on the back end. Like that can still get your foot in the door, but getting an hour or an hour and a half of, you know, changing outfits and getting them to liven up a little bit, you know, I've seen it firsthand.
There's a lot involved. It's not easy. But no, I wanted to touch on that earlier, Shae. That exact point is that the fact that I'm able to do these shoots and spend an hour with these top producing brokers, these up and comers, like you can't beat that one-on-one time. They get to know you, they get to know your personality. I'm always asking questions, trying to get them to open up and relax. You know, I'm approachable. I have good customer service skills. Like it gives them an idea of what it would be like to work with me in the future. And then I always slide in, because Shae does an amazing email introduction with these brokers, like the nicest emails. I'm always like, oh, stop, Shae. He's like, Rachel's the best. And da 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 da. She also does amazing real estate photography. He says it in every email. And I think 75% of the brokers that I shoot, when I tell them at the shoot, I do real estate photography too, they're like, oh, you do? I'm like, yep. Yep. Which, whatever, they're busy, you know, so am I. Yep. But being able to touch them in person and get to know them. And I don't push myself on them because most of the top producing agents already have photographers in place. I'm not trying to steal them away. Yeah. It's just, if let's say they have, like, especially up and comers, they're using a photographer that maybe doesn't have a team, or maybe doesn't offer all the services, or maybe they just aren't happy with what they're getting, then I have that team in place. We have the availability. We have a good territory that we serve. We do all the services. So it's a good opportunity for them to meet like a professional that's been doing this for 6 years, going on 7, you know, that will take good care of them. So, and that's where I'm really finding the value. Shae, I would love to shoot more up and comers. I've decided, because those are the ones that have been actually calling me and using me, and they have friends and they refer me to their friends, you know, so it's just this trickle down effect. Yeah. Once you get 1 or 2 under your belt, it's great. Yeah. So yeah, but having that diversity of the portraits and the real estate has been very valuable for my business, for sure.
And I do think Rachael brings up a really important part, and noted on the Rising Star, you know, shoot. I know that, and it's not just Rachael, right? It's like when they're up and coming, they're less ingrained with the people that they have been using, and so it's like there might be a little bit more malleable on, like, when you do get that one-on-one time and they like you, then they're more prone to use you. But it is an important part of real producers, in the sense of, they're not all brand new agents, right? They have run a successful business for 5 to 7 to 10 to 15 years. And so that relationship doesn't happen overnight. But this never would have worked with Rachael had she not had great customer care and working with agents that are so awkward behind the camera, and loosening them up and getting to shake it out and how to walk the right way. You know, had she not been able to kind of mold them, you know, the shoots don't go well. You have kind of that awkward feeling after, like, oh, let's see how creative she can get, you know, in Photoshop kind of deal. But it is the ability to, you know, and she mentioned something that I think is important. It's like, I'm never going to stop doing the heartfelt introduction when I introduce her to do a photo shoot, because even though 75% of them, it might not resonate with them, either when it does, or even if I've tried to just plant that seed, and then she's never, she's not just saying this, she's never pushy about, like, 5 minutes into the shoot being like, when can I earn your business for your next real estate shoot? It really just happens through conversation naturally. Or if I'm at a photo shoot, I'll be like, oh, you know, she also does, like, I want a seed plant for her. And because if it comes from me, obviously I'm biased because she's a partner, but it's not her pushing it on, you know, on the agent. And so she does a really good job of kind of towing that line of seed planting and slowly kind of leaking it in there, that she also does this, and she also can do branding, and she also can do video for you. Like, because of what she's built, you know, she can really the team can be a one-stop shop. And that doesn't mean that every photographer is able to, you know, allow, I can do this and this and this, but in Rachael's case, and I know there's other photographers out there that do that, you really get an in on that relationship. And hey, I might not do your real estate photography, but I can do your branding. I can do your lifestyle, and finding what, if I can't be do all for you, at least let me do this part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. No, totally.
And your fall family mini sessions, which we're hosting next month. I'm coming out of retirement from family once a year. It's been really fun setting up for it. I got some hay bales today at the feed store with my daughter, and she's like, "How much do they weigh, Mom?" I'm like, "Oh, they're like 50 pounds, maybe 40." And the guy's like, "They're big straw bales." The guy's bringing them out, and I go, "How much do those weigh?" And he's like, "Oh, like about 100 pounds." I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna have the husband take those out of the truck." Anyways.
Yeah, I just saw your post about that, the hay bales and all that. That's cool.
Yeah, fun stuff.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
No.
So.
Yeah, all these little things though, they can lead, and they're all little like seeds that you plant that eventually. I remember going to the first ever like meet and greet kind of office thing where I tried to tell my services to a bunch of agents, and I remember the broker going, "That's the girl you want, her, right?" And she was kind of like, "Oh, you don't do this, you don't do that, you're expensive, right?" And then did her headshot eventually, and then eventually, you know what? All of a sudden, she did a shoot with me, and then now we work together all the time, and she loves my work, and she's amazing to work with. So it's like, you never know. You start small and you build your way up, especially when you're a photographer just getting going. Everybody's these realtors, they already have photographers, so you're not gonna like steal your way in, but eventually they have a need, or somebody got sick, or somebody's away on vacation and need somebody, and you find your way in eventually. Rach, I'm sorry, I'm gonna interrupt for a second.
Goodness, Neal, goodness. Fine. What do you have to say?
Okay, so I know we talked to you guys about this before, but I want to bring it up because we got a cool deal for you guys to help you guys out. I want to talk to you all about the marketing kit from HDPhotoHub, which Rachael and I both use, and we both upsell to make extra money with no extra effort on our part, zero zip. Besides, maybe if you want to set it up as something they can choose in their booking options to just buy it from you. But if you're not aware, this is a great way to make extra income, is the marketing kit, which includes a dedicated website to a listing, includes social media templates, printable flyers, even a slideshow video that's made automatically off the stills that you upload to their gallery. So what you want to do is set it up and then add a little buffer on top of that, a little charge on top of that, so you make some income off of it whenever they buy it, which both Rachael and I do as well. And whenever somebody gets that, it's just like free money to me. I'm like, awesome, I made some money off of something that took no effort, right? And so I wanted to just bring it up real quick because we have a deal for you with a little promo code, right, Rach?
Yes, we do. And I use it. I give it for free when they order a works package. So like as just an extra add-on, and it doesn't cost me much extra, but it just gives them that incentive to buy that package. Like they're getting even more with that works package. And then I sell it for $50. It costs you 15 credits. And I charge $50 for it. So I'm making $35 for doing nothing. And so many of my clients absolutely love it, especially the printable flyers that are fully customizable. So if you guys want to try this out for yourself, you can get 50 free credits from HDPhotoHub by using the promo code STS, as in shooting the shit. Try it out today, guys. You'll love it.
Awesome.
Okay, back to the show.
Shae, if so for the magazine piece, so my understanding is just the magazine piece where they can do like an ad or something like that. How does that work exactly?
Yeah, so the way, because everything is relational, and we know based on everything we've talked about, throughout this, throughout us talking, it doesn't happen overnight. And so because of that, the way our agreements are built are 12, 24, and 36-month agreements. And actually some area directors are doing 48-month agreements and 60-month agreements, because if you know that you're not going anywhere and that you're not going to leave the area, then why not just consistently have a presence, amongst the best agents year in and year out? The longer agreement you do, the more benefits you get. So, you get a discount on pricing, a 20% discount on pricing if you're doing a 36-month agreement. And it comes with 2 sponsor spotlights, and that's kind of your 3 pages. The same way an agent gets featured, each month we feature one of our partners, and that is really their canvas and some do 2 pages, some do 3, some do 4. Ours are typically 3. And that's really, do you want it to only be about photography and you're showcasing photography in your photos? Or do you want it to be completely humanizing and talk about your family and your vacation and what you're passionate about? Because that might connect with an agent. One of my funny, hilarious stories early on was I was showing an agent a magazine who had, had just started receiving it because it was a new year. And one of my stagers sponsor spotlight had his dog in his photo, and the agent's like, "Oh, I have 2 Bichons," and it's like they ended up literally connecting over dogs. And he texted me and was like, "Dude, I think I'm gonna stage this house because of my dog photo," right? So you never know what is gonna, hit with an agent. But 24 months is typically 10% off our pricing and 1 sponsor spotlight, and then 12 months is kind of just that introductory rate and doesn't come with the 3-page kind of feature. So we've, in any business, we've heard it all, right? Like, let me try this for 12 months and see how it goes. I can tell you, I have running this for 4 years. Most of the partners that do something over 12 months are the ones that end up renewing, because it does take time. And you are going to have an opportunity to attend more events, sponsor a mastermind and come and get some, mic time, sponsor a large event and be able to get in front of the whole crowd and kind of give your elevator pitch. And those are totally optional. It's not like, hey, if you do a 12-month event, you have to, or a 12-month agreement, you have to sponsor an event. All of the sponsorship's optional. Do you want more branding? Do you want more signage? Do you want to get the RSVP list? So then you can follow up with each individual agent, say, "Hey, I had a great time at the event. I love that you came. I'd love to, grab coffee or hop on a Zoom and learn a little bit more about you." And then there's other ways that partners utilize the magazine, like actually read the cover story and reach out to the agent. And it's just a little bit warmer. Like, "Hey, I love that you did A, B, and C," or "I had no idea that you had to overcome this in your business and had to navigate this kind of market. Like, man, that's incredible." And you're just kind of stroking their ego a little bit. But I think the biggest part is, yes, you're stroking their ego, but you're also showing that you're paying attention, right?
Yeah.
Like, just reaching out cold and going, "Hey, I saw you on the cover. We should meet." It's like, those agents are getting inundated with people reaching out. I mean, I literally did a podcast with 2 agents today, and then we were at lunch and he had a missed call and he just did a voice text back to them, like, "Stop calling me." Oh. And I'm like, "Who is he?" He was like, I was like, "Who is that?" He's like, "This lender calls me 4 times a week." Jeez. And it's like that kind of, like, we all need to be persistent in business, but there's also a line that you don't want to cross. And using the partnership and Real Producers, just going, "Hey, like, I'm a real producer too. I love that you are so, like, active with nonprofits in the community. I actually am involved in this as well. Like, I'd love to just connect and learn more about, like, what you do in the nonprofit space." And then it doesn't seem like you just want their business. You just want to get to know them. And we all know that in real estate, having that in on building a relationship where you don't want anything from them is a much warmer lead-in than going, "Hey, I want to do your next shoot," or "I want to, like, give me your next deal. Let me knock it out of the park." It's like, everybody's doing that. How can you stand out and be different?
Yeah. No, that reminds me is when I was first getting going, I was just going Googling agents, trying to find agents in areas and stuff like this. And I had a background in headshot and portrait photography as well. And this one agent had this great shot of her with her dog in a field, tall grass, and turned out, and I did a little looked around, and she did specialize in, like, equestrian stuff and all that. Yeah, I reached out to her and I left her a voicemail. I was like, "Hey, I just want to say I'm a real estate photographer, but I loved your portrait. I love that you were showing your personality, and I feel like everybody should be doing more of that. And, I'm not trying to call get your business or anything, but I wanted to tell you that I thought that was really cool. And I'm trying to do some more stuff like that for agents and stuff. And if you ever had an interest, definitely reach out, but love the photo." You know what I mean? And I just left it at that. You know what I mean? And called me back. Sure enough, we started working together and we did video work together. She's like, I want to do the same thing with video. You do video work? And so we did like this cool shoot at an equestrian center with horses and riding horses. And it was awesome, So you never know, especially you start out with, like you're saying, go from that connection, tell something besides right into business. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have to connect with people in order to gain their trust, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing more disgusting than feeling like you're being sold. And I feel like nowadays it's so easy to spot it and feel it. I don't even try to sell myself. I feel like I just mention it. I'm like, yeah, I do real estate photography too. You'll see my ad next month. And if you need me, you know where I'm at, you know how to find me,
Yep.
So
yeah, it's cool.
Awesome.
Well, I love that. I love I love the stuff that you're doing, because also real estate agents, they love to go out and socialize. I mean, that's a great personality trait to have if you're going to be a real estate agent. So it's great that you've tied in all of that social piece of it as well. And of course, that's going to just get them involved. I'm in my head going like, what can I do as a photographer on the same level that would like somehow engage people that way? That's like, it's such a great thing to be able to do. But if you're a photographer, being able to go to some of these events is a piece of it. Show up and have a cocktail and mingle a little. That could do it. And then my other thought, honestly, Shae, was like, New Hampshire, can I just be a publisher? And it's like 12 pages of my photography every issue.
You buy all the ad space.
Yeah, just all my stuff.
I was gonna say, we do have a 50-50 ad to content ratio, so you gotta make sure that you stay kind of in line with our model.
Great.
Well, Shae, what are any other things that you'd like, whether it's a photographer listening or a real estate agent listening, anything that you'd like to get out the word across to them that's important while you're on the podcast?
Yeah, I think when as you're talking and, like I'd love to attend the events. I think that's another way that we do kind of want to stand our ground and set expectations that if you are a partner of whatever real producers is in any given market, that these are not free-for-alls, right? The main element to the events is they are meant for agents that have earned the right to receive the publication through their production. So you know that they are consistently doing business, and then partners of real producers. And so of course I get it all the time. I'll meet with a new potential partner that was recommended by a top producing agent, and they'll go, let me just come to the first event and see how it goes. And it's like, that's not fair to the rest of my partners who have already bought in and seen the value. And so if you think about so many other types of events that we all attend, right? Like whether it's put on by a brokerage or whether it's, a meet and greet, or whether it's a panel, whatever that might be, those are typically come one, come all, it's $20 RSVP, or just show up. And that's really how we try and differentiate, is that that there's not going to be 35 other photographers in the room, or 20 lenders. The worst of types of events are if there's like a 50-50 ratio, right? Like if you had 20 agents and 20 partners, and the agents are like, like everyone wants to talk to them. So we really try and keep a balance of like 70% agents, 30% partners, or, just make sure that there's way more agents than they are partners, so it doesn't feel like it's skewed. But the other part is just look at, and I know everybody doesn't have the access to this, but if you look at the numbers in any given market, like I actually did the deep dive on the last 12 months numbers. And in our market, the top 500 in the last 12 months have done $17 billion in volume. So it's like, do you want to get in front of that group and just get that doesn't mean you need 30 new agents that are now, on your reel, that you're spread too thin. You just want a handful of the right relationships.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a broad-based model where we're going to, I'll get this question asked, like, why don't you go to the top 1,000, or why don't you go to the top 2,000? And sure, we could, but when you come to an event and you have a great conversation what we don't want you to do is then go home and be like, man, that was great. I can't wait to work with this agent. And then you don't get a call from them for 6 months because they only did, 3 listings last year, or they only did 10 transactions. Like, that doesn't mean that's a bad person or a bad agent, but you want to get the best bang for your buck. And so it's the quality of the agent that's in the room. And you could say that's just the Seattle market. You could do that in any given market. That group of 500 are typically doing anywhere from 70 to 80% of the volume. So why not go in the quality over quantity method and get in front of the best and just get a handful of the right people versus trying to get in front of, 5,000 agents and then just hope that it works out and hope that they end up like our rising stars are typically rising stars because another agent has nominated them or recommended them, like, hey, you should reach out to them. They've been doing it for 3 years. They did 22 million in volume last year in just their 3rd year of real estate, which is incredible. And that typically means their trajectory is on the right path to be, earning their way on the list. The agent I met with today was a rising star that Rachael shot in February, I think, of 21. And we went to lunch after. I looked him up. He's number 118 on the list. And, so obviously his path stayed the same. He just kept rising up. And we want to get you in front of the best and the brightest agents in the business. And we feel like that's what Real Producers aims to accomplish.
That's amazing. And that's exactly what it does accomplish, because I'm on year 4. And I have to tell you, those top producing agents that you get as clients are going to book you once a week, a couple times a week. I mean, those are the ones that you want that are going to carry you through the slow times. They have deals all year round. They don't stop. They have the team to support them. They have all the infrastructure in place to be successful. So those are the ones that you want under your belt for the hard times, which who knows what we're going into.
I know, right?
Maybe we're in the worst of it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Yep. So yeah. Well, thank you, Shae, for coming on. This was great.
I really appreciate you guys having me on. I think Real Producers is so niche that I'll still interact with agents that are like, what's Real Producers? And then you're kind of thinking in the back of your mind, like, oh, you probably need to do more business to find out. But I do really appreciate kind of getting to, share what our goals and, what we're really passionate about, which is connecting quality people. And I know there's probably plenty of people you could have had on. And so I really do appreciate you, giving me the time and talking about, the way Rachael and I have, it's, I would say it's much more than just a, business to business relationship. It's, it's really has turned into a friendship. And anytime I have a really big shoot, Rachael is definitely my go-to when it comes to those.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, you guys, it's awesome. You guys definitely have a relationship. Now, over the year that we've been doing this, your name's come up many times. So I know that it's had a big impact for Rachael. So it's very cool. Yeah.
I love it.
If you want to connect with the Real Producers in your area, talk to Shae first, because he's going to give you the ins and outs of what it's all about. So Shae, how can people find you on Instagram?
Yeah, so it's just at Seattle Real Producers on Instagram. I'm much more active on Instagram than I am on Facebook. It's just, Seattle Real Producers on Facebook as well. But just shoot me a message, and, I'm always up for connecting with businesses. I'm also kind of aware of the people within our company that are doing it the right way and really have thriving publications versus, we know that every Real Producers is not thriving if people aren't all in and running it. And so I can kind of protect people from maybe getting into a scenario that wouldn't be in their best interest. But, at Seattle Real Producers, and I always say, follow me and I'll follow you right back, because we're really just one big, real estate community, and we want to rise together. And so just reach out and I'll respond.
Well, thanks so much, Shae. Really great having you on, and appreciate it, and have yourself a great night.
You
Bye,
too.
guys.
Thank you. Thank you both.
That was awesome. But you know what? That means summer is over.
I know.
That's
and
it.
this is like officially going to launch while we're recording this on Tuesday, and this podcast is launching on Thursday. So like we recorded this 2 days ago from you guys listening, which is we're just kind of behind. But it's fine. We got this. We got this. But no, it is officially the last day of summer, either today or tomorrow. I believe it's tomorrow, actually, on Friday, the 21st.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know.
We should be playing after the boys of summer are gone at the end of this.
Oh, we could. We could. Yes. So, Real Producers is not really a direct part of my power team, but they definitely have had a big impact on me gaining new clients and getting those top producing brokers. So it definitely has been influential for me and big for my business. So, and that's why I added them in as one of my power team members, because advertising for me, I knew in the beginning I needed 3 ways that I advertise my business. And when I opened it up and I was like, all right, I got budget, I'm going to do one more way. And that just kind of fell in my lap. I was like, this is perfect. What? Yeah. And I just lucked out with having Shae, who is a rock star, and he's killed it. Like what he's done with this publication is incredible. Like what he's built. Going to those events is so fun. And everybody loves Shae, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
very,
cool.
very likable. And he seems just like genuine in his wanting to connect and help people, which is huge. Yeah. So
exactly.
Very
So
cool.
I think he had a really good point. Like if you really are looking into advertising with Real Producers, reach out to him, because he knows, like he said, he knows a lot of these people. He's been in the industry in this space for a while. So if it's a good area to advertise, he'll be honest with you. So
yeah.
But
awesome.
So end of our series. So Neal, what's next?
End of our series.
Oh my gosh.
What is
the
next?
podcast is done. This is our last episode ever.
That's it. I'm out of ideas. No.
Hanging it up.
We're chatting about a few things for our next little series or topics we're going to talk about, and I don't know if we have it ironed out. I know we mentioned about some local businesses and stuff like that, but we'll figure it out. We've got a new thing coming. Are we going to be taking a hiatus for a week or two, or are we diving right back in?
Yes. So the problem is I'm traveling a lot with the master plan, and we're going to Costa Rica, and I'm going to PMRE, and so it's going to be tough to get another series recorded. So it's a lot of traveling. So we'll see what we can do. I might just throw Neal out to the wolves and have him do a couple on his own so that we can, keep this ball rolling. But yeah, I would love if there's any teams out there who have, a similar story to mine, or, they've been in the business for 5 years, 3 years, whatever, and you have a team and you have your power team in place. We would love to interview you and hear really what has made your business tick and what's helped you to grow. What are your important areas of your power team? So if you would like to be on our podcast, please reach out to our Instagram. It's Shooting the Shit with Rach and Neal. And we'd love to have some business owners out there.
Also, as Rach mentioned, she's going to be at PMRE. So if you happen to be going as well, you should definitely, look for Rach and go say hello and let her know you listen. And if you're one of these teams or you have anything, kind of interesting that you think might be a fun topic for the podcast, it'd be great to hear about it. So
yeah, I would love to meet you guys.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much. And we'll see you on the next one.
Bye, guys.